Hello, 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 and welcome to the Cloud English Podcast. My name is Luke. It is April 21st, 2015. Great to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about good English writing from a few different angles, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting. We're back in the studio. The last few episodes have been, admittedly, from home. I'm not wild about it. I don't like the inconsistent lighting. I like to control the variables a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I like my spaceship living room. I like it. It's nice. It's comfortable, right? It's good. Well, as I said, we're going to be talking about writing today, so be ready for that. Those here live, if you have questions as we go, let me know. I'll do my best to answer a couple, one. If you haven't already done so, a like and subscribe is sincerely appreciated. That really helps out. If you're listening instead of watching, then go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give it a 5-star review. The podcast, that is. That really helps out. Okay, now there are a couple things that are coming up. I'm releasing a course about networking, so look out for that. And I'm also releasing a mini course about English verb tenses, which I think is going to be pretty good. I think what I'm going to do, this is a shorter course than usual. I think I'll launch it with a free coupon at first. So anybody who follows, anyone who, knows where I post stuff, will be able to access that course for free at first. So maybe within the first, 5 days, it'll be available for free. That's something I'm trying out just because it is a shorter course, and I want everyone who struggles with verb tenses to get access to it, because I think it's a good one. It covers all the verb tenses. That's right, there are 12, and it covers all 12 verb tenses. So I think that's cool. I did my best to prevent it from being too boring. What else? You can get a free course in the links in the description. There's also the membership on the website where you can access all of the courses that are on the website. Not all courses are on the website. Not all of my courses are all in all places. So, the ones that are there, you can get that 30% off monthly for the first year, if you want to. That is in the links in the description as well. You can join the Discord for free. Let's see. I think that's about it. Oh, and I'll just say this. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm posting more often. I wasn't very active on Instagram for a long, long time, and I don't know. It's personal, though. I'm not posting anything related to English or anything like that. I post a couple of main things. I post pictures and videos with my son, because I want to document him growing up, and it's a good way for me to do that. And also, I've taken some interesting videos through my telescope with my phone of the moon, of the sun. So I'm planning actually to do more of that because I'm buying a new filter. So, yeah, I don't know. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's luke.pretty. That is my Instagram. Luke, Luke, .PRIDDY on Instagram. All right. Let's see. How can we have a couple of questions coming in already. I thank you for those. So how can we improve our writing? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today, right? So that'll be hopefully interesting. And how can we apply for a course? I'm not quite sure I follow what you mean there, applying for the course, but you can check out my courses. They're on Udemy. You can also find them on my website if you want to get a membership to them as well. Let's see. All right, let's get started. Let's get into it. Let's do that. Welcome. Well, first, I thought it would be interesting to talk about something that I have been talking about more on the channel, which is I talk about AI tools a lot, ChatGPT, and we're really in the middle of something like a war. What I want to do is compare perhaps the leading 4 AI tools for a generic writing request. That means I don't structure the prompt in a very special way. I just have a prompt and I want to write something. What is something we often need to write? How about an email? So we're going to take a look at that. What I want to make very clear is this is not about how to structure a prompt. Writing really good prompts is a whole art unto itself. What I want to do is see which of the 4 top LLMs is best at handling a generic writing request. ChatGPT, GPT-4, not GPT 3.5, Google Gemini, although not the Pro version, just Google Gemini, Claude 3, although not the Opus version, but Claude 3, and the other one is Meta. Just came out with Llama 3 as a very familiar looking AI tool that you can use. And we're going to test it out. So let's do that really quickly. Let's just spend a couple of minutes on this because I think it's interesting. So let's hop over here to ChatGPT. And we have a very simple prompt. Again, this is not about prompts. We're just trying to give it something generic. Generate a concise email requesting detailed information on a specific topic. The email should begin with a polite greeting, express the purpose clearly, ask for any relevant documents, and close with a thankful note and professional closing. Okay? So again, nothing specific here. This is very generic. I wouldn't say this is a good prompt at all. That's not the point. The point is we're going to do a comparison, direct comparison between these 4. All right, here we go. ChatGPT, GPT-4. Let's see what we get. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to inquire about a specific topic as I'm currently working on a project that requires comprehensive insights on this subject. Okay. Could you please provide me with any documents, reports, or data that cover the key aspects and latest developments regarding a specific topic? Any additional information that could assist in a deeper understanding would also be greatly appreciated. Okay, thank you in advance. Now what we do, now that we have this basic one, is we can say, okay, now create a specific, now create a version with specific information. Okay, so it's going to basically put in real information. We'll see how natural it sounds. Nothing else. We're going to keep these pretty simple and generic. Okay? Dear Dr. Thompson, I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to inquire about the latest innovations in sustainable packaging, as I'm currently preparing a presentation on environmentally friendly packaging solutions. Could you please provide me with any recent studies, white papers, or comprehensive data that cover the key aspects and recent advancements in this field? Any additional insights or resources that could assist in understanding the current trends and future directions would be immensely helpful. Okay, so I would say pretty decent. It's a little lengthy. Generally, you would want to do it a little bit more concisely, but we're not focusing on getting the best results. For that, we would want to have a very carefully structured prompt. Okay, so now what we'll do is I want to take this same exact prompt and we're going to follow the same basic process in Claude. All right, so Claude is another LLM here, and or rather another platform with an LLM, I should say. Claude 3 Sonnet. I'll zoom in a little bit. All right, now this one looks like not giving us a prompt, or rather, no, it is. Sorry, it is. It is giving us a basic template. So let's see. I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to request detailed information regarding specific topic, as I'm currently working on a project related to this area. I would greatly appreciate if you could provide me with any relevant documents, reports, or materials that could shed light on this subject matter. It is almost exactly the same. Whoa! I did not expect it to be so close to the same. That's really surprising. That's very interesting. Okay, so what did we say here as a follow-up? Now create a version with specific information. So now let's go over to Claude. It's almost identical in style and general structure. Okay, now let's try the follow-up. Okay, dear Ms. Johnson, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to request detailed information regarding the company's recent acquisition of ABC Corporation. As I'm part of the integration team, I would greatly appreciate if you could provide me with any relevant documents, financial reports, or materials that outline the rationale behind this acquisition, the due diligence process, and the proposed integration plan. Your assistance in this matter would be invaluable. Okay, so I think on par. I think very similar in terms of quality. I'm not going to say it's the best possible email for this situation, actually, because I think a better email might be a bit more concise, might be, I think it's pretty good, but yes, definitely more concise and more to the point. It's a little bit lengthy, but it's not bad. And I would say about the same in terms of quality as what we got with GPT-4. Now what we need to do is we're going to keep going. So I'd say so far, ChatGPT and Claude are more or less tied. Now we're going to go over to Google Gemini, and we're going to put in our same prompt here. Generate a concise email. Boom. Here we go. Come on, Gemini. Zoom in a little bit. All right, there we go. Hello? What the heck? Okay, maybe I zoomed in too far. All right. Here's a draft you can adjust for your specific information needs. Dear recipient name, I hope this email finds you well. My name is your name, and I'm reaching out to request detailed information about specific topic. I'm currently working on a blank and believe your expertise in this area would be invaluable. Specifically, I would be grateful if you could provide information on the following aspects. List. Okay, that's a little different. We got a list. That's a little different. This is the first time I've seen something that's, different with Gemini. Now, one cool thing about this is you can modify selected text. Gemini has an interesting feature where you can select something to specifically modify only that and nothing else. So, if you have any relevant documents, reports, or links to resources, I would greatly appreciate. So one thing you can see is for all of these, we have a similar tone. It's a respectful, slightly formal tone that is being used to request information. Generally, it's following the same structure. Generally, this is someone writing to another person they don't know to request information, right? And they're not doing so in a very casual or informal way. Fair enough. I think that it is fulfilling the requirement of the prompt as it is stated. If we wanted something more casual, more natural, more concise, we would have to state that in the prompt. So I think, this is not too bad. The thing I'm surprised about so far is how similar they are. They have the same approach basically to these emails or to these requests. Each of these emails is very similar. This one is a little different because we have a list. Okay, now what we want to do, same thing, we go back, we get the follow-up prompt. Okay, now create a version with specific information. Let's copy that. Let's go over to Gemini and let's ask for a specific version. Okay. Absolutely, here is a version with specific details. Okay, dear Ms. Wilson. Wait a second, what was the first name here? What was the name from GPT? Okay, so we have GPT-4's was what? Dr. Thompson, and Claude's was what? Claude's was, Where's Claude's specific example? Ms. Johnson. So Ms. Johnson in Claude and Ms. Wilson in Gemini. Huh, interesting. I hope this email finds you well. My name is Sarah Johnson. Wait a second. Hold on. Wait a minute. Ms. Johnson is the person this email is addressed to. Okay, if this says to John Doe, that's going to blow. No, it's Thompson. Okay. Imagine if this email were addressed to John Doe and somehow this email is addressed to Ms. Johnson, and it gives like a chain. That would be crazy. But anyway, that's just an odd coincidence, I suppose. Because they should be, they're not connected to each other, right? They don't know what the other is doing. Okay, anyway. I hope this email finds you well. A very common beginning, by the way, to a somewhat formal, friendly but formal email. It's not surprising to see that at the beginning. I hope this email finds you well. Also in Claude and in GPT-4, exactly the same beginning. I hope this email finds you well. So it's pretty interesting how similar these are. My name is Sarah Johnson, and I'm a sustainability coordinator for ABC Apparel. I came across your recent presentation on ethical sourcing practices and was very impressed with your insights on sustainable textile options. So we have sustainable textile options here, and I believe for GPT it was sustainable packaging. These similarities are weird. These similarities are very odd. So we have as our sample sustainable, because I'm not requesting any specific information. I'm requesting specific information, but I'm leaving that fully up to these platforms, right? The tools. I'm not saying talk about sustainability. I didn't say that, right? No. And Claude's is something totally different, but Claude's is using ABC Corporation, and Gemini is also using ABC Apparel. Huh. Odd? I guess that's not crazy, right? Because ABC is kind of just a generic name. But that is weird. I will say that is weird. Okay, so sustainability in two of the three, and ABC in 2 of the 3, and Ms. Johnson is apparently writing to Ms. whatever. Ms. Who are we writing to? Who are we writing to in this one? Ms. Wilson. Okay. All right. There's the list. There's the different thing. Reliable suppliers of recycling or organic cotton and linen fabrics. Best practices for assessing the environmental impact of textile dyeing, and industry certifications that guarantee sustainable. Okay, so there's a list there, and that's a little different. That's nice. One point to note is I'm not paying any money for this. I'm not paying any money for this, for Claude, and I'm paying $20 a month for this, for ChatGPT. Not that ChatGPT is showing its age at all, I don't think, but it is getting close to a point where I'm expecting for $20 a month for some interesting things to happen very soon in the next version, I hope. All right, last one. Now we take the same exact prompt, and where's my prompt? Where's my prompt? Oh, here it is. Okay, generate a concise email. Now we're going to take, oh, can I not copy the whole thing? What the heck, Gemini? Come on, I want to copy the whole thing. People need their prompts. Oops, I accidentally moved my back. What the heck? Okay. All right. Let me copy that. And we're going to go finally to Meta AI. Now, I give them the most leeway here. And the reason for that is because Meta AI came out within the last 5 days. It's very new, right? This is a brand new website. And they have some cool features here. For example, if you want to make an image, here, you can imagine an image, and when you do that, you can edit it and animate it. It's pretty cool. It's very interesting. So, I mean, Meta is doing a good job. Kind of. All right, here we go. Oh, continue without login for now. Yeah. What year was I born? I was born in 1988. Okay, please don't ask me more information. All right. If it got more personal, I'd have to probably take it off screen. But I'm okay with people knowing what year I was born. I'm okay with that. All right. I hope this email finds you well. All of our emails have started with, I hope this email finds you well. Is that, so the question I think would be, is that the only way to start an email? No, it's not. It really isn't. So that's interesting that we're getting that for every single one. It tells you perhaps more about the data set that these LLMs train on than anything else. That, there's limited data available, and all of them are training on probably similar or the same data in general. And so I think that's what explains the similarity of the results, right? It's not that every email that is somewhat formal must begin with, I hope this email finds you well. It's a good beginning. It's a fine beginning, but it's not the only one. I'm reaching out to request detailed information on specific topic as part of my research and analysis for project study. Okay, starting to get boring at this point because it's all pretty much the same. Okay, so now we do our last thing, and I'm going to copy over here from Claude because I don't trust Gemini to give me the whole thing. And let's see what we get. Come on, Meta. Here is a... it's going so fast. It's going so fast. Okay. Oh, Ms. Jane Smith. All right. All right. Okay. Renewable energy initiatives. Renewable packaging. Renewable textiles. And renewable energy initiatives. This is bizarrely similar. Why all renewable? What in the training data has made all generic emails made specific about renewable something? That's weird. Okay, that's weird. Some weird things have come out of this. I did not expect all of this. Okay. I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out to request detailed information on the renewable energy initiatives implemented by your company, Green Energy Corp, as part of my research and analysis for a case study on sustainable practices. I'm particularly interested in understanding the impact of your solar panel installations and wind energy projects on reducing carbon emissions and would appreciate any insights or data you can provide. Could you please share any relevant documents, reports, or resources that might be helpful in my inquiry, such as, and then a list. Okay, nice list. Okay. All right, so conclusion time. I did not expect what we got. The conclusion, I think, would be that these LLMs are very similar. These tools are very similar. It seems that they have converged on a sort of best they can do, and the results are surprisingly, weirdly the same. I didn't see one that seems to write in a more nuanced way, or one that's, really bad or performs really badly. They all did, I think, fine. This is not the best email in the world, but we weren't asking for the best email in the world. We were working with something generic, right? So I think these can all produce perfectly good prima materia, starting material for you to work with. I think that's where we are right now, where you can get up to, yeah, not bad. And then you go in and you make some small adjustments, you change some information, you delete a sentence, you change your opening sentence, please. You can make some personal adjustments that take just a couple minutes, rather than having to sit down and write from scratch. That feeling of, I have to write something from scratch doesn't have to be there when you use one of these tools. From this, I can say, pretty close, all pretty close. And surprisingly, even some of the information about sustainability was the same. The openings were the same. Bizarrely, some of the names were the same, some of the company names. So that's a really interesting and surprising thing. I think what we need to look out for is the next generation of these as the, I think, training data expands. As these tools get better, you will be able to have your AI assistant watch you make your little adjustments to the email. So you don't just get it. Basically, you say, now, thank you for the first draft. Watch me do what I want to do with it and train on that. Watch me do 20 of those and find what's unique to my style and what's unique to me so that I have a customized writing tool that can then generate what I would have written myself. And we're not quite there yet. The prompting can certainly give us better results than these, but we're still not quite there 100%, and I think we probably will get there as we get better at learning how to write prompts, as we get better tools that can start to learn the things that we want individually so that my style is different from everyone else's style, so that we can get these custom, bespoke tools that are kind of following us around, doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So interesting, very interesting. I would love to know if you get similar results. Try these out for all of these except for ChatGPT. It's the free version, but I didn't test out GPT 3.5. Maybe try that out. Let me know if you get the same results as well. Let me know if you get things like that same exact opening for every single email. I am very curious. Try different prompts, different requests. Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and get a free course in the links in the description. All right. Hey, Karina. Hello, welcome. Mana, what is the best method you advise for English learners, especially those who struggle to be consistent in their learning, those who try to talk the talk and walk the walk? This is something that I think about a lot. So, Mana, how do we be consistent? I think we have to fight against this sense of enthusiasm that happens that then causes us to lose our enthusiasm because it can't last, and then causes us to give up, right? So think about the things that you do consistently and how you got there, right? What pushes you to do those things consistently? It's probably not a sense of excitement or burning passion or something like that. It's probably that you've found a way to fit it into your lifestyle. And then think about things that you tried and couldn't fit into your lifestyle and why that didn't work. So, what do you do every day? Do you meditate for an hour every morning? If so, how are you able to do that consistently? Why don't you give up? Do you go for a run every morning? Do you hopefully brush your teeth every day? All of these things are consistent things, and the thing that I think pushes us to be consistent is not an intense resolve to do it, but is instead let's say, a way to fit it into the day-to-day, right? And I think that's really the key, to find a way to fit it into the day-to-day. So it's focusing less on motivation and focusing more on planning, focusing more on knowing your daily routine, right? And what things have worked for you in the past, right? So I think that's actually more important for consistency. I do think there's an element of, sometimes there can be an element of motivation, but I think a kind of motivation that works better than getting really excited and then giving up is something like streaks. So there's a method called the Seinfeld method, and you basically are setting up streaks where you create some rules for yourself where you say, if I do X more than 4 times in a week, then that counts for that week. If I don't, if I do it less than 4, you can set up the rules, then it doesn't count. And you actually have a calendar, and you check off the days and the weeks where you did the thing. And so if I did 4 or more, I check off that week. If I did 4 or more the next week, I check off that week. So I've got 2 in a row. I don't want to give up my streak. I do 4 in a row again. That's the third. 3 in a row. The further you go with this, the more motivated you feel, because if you're 5 weeks in a row, I've checked off the week, then I don't want to give up my streak, right? And so that you build in some pressure, and that's probably a good thing. And then after a while, eventually that just becomes a habit. And so you don't need the streaks anymore. The streaks are what helps you get to the habit, right? And once you get to the habit, then you're kind of good because it's a habit, right? But you have to just organize that. You have to set it correctly. It has to be flexible enough so that you actually can check off the week. Because if it's so strict that it's 7 days a week, twice a day, and if I don't do that, then I fail for the week, then you'll just give up because it's too much. You have to find that balance, I think. Hopefully that answers your question. I don't know if it did. All right, let's move on. Where's my, hold on a second. My pen fell on the floor when we were doing the ChatGPT stuff. All right, I'm back. Let's look at some let's look at some paragraphs, all right? Let's look at some paragraphs. Nihat says, "Hey dude, haven't seen your live for a long time. How's it going?" It's going well, Nihat. I was doing a couple at home. I'm not sure if I love the at-home style, to be honest. Just because I don't know. I like the studio. I like my spaceship living room. I like it. All right. Let me get the old iPad out here. Give me 1 second, please. I'm just making sure that I can write here. Very good. All right. What is the difference between flowery language and concise language? Well, I think we can look at some examples and see the difference. More importantly, we need to know why we would use one way, one style of writing over another. I believe it's very important to be flexible as a writer, to know how to write more complicated, vivid descriptions of things, but also very clear, concise writing. Did I just say write very clear, concise writing? That's an example of redundancy. Don't do it. To write clearly and concisely. It's very important to be able to adapt to the situation. If you're writing an email to a colleague or you need to get your point across quickly, writing concisely, clearly, avoiding redundant language is very important. But if you're trying to evoke images and you're trying to create a picture with your words, then the style might be very different, okay? So we're going to take a look at a simple paragraph. Here's our paragraph. And we're going to try to make some observations about the paragraph. And then we're going to look at a more concise version of it, and we're going to kind of ask ourselves, well, what's different? And which one's better? Or are they both fine depending on what we're trying to do? Okay? So let's just read through this, and as I read through this, I'm going to just mark it in blue so that you can see where we are, okay? Here we go. In the midst of a vast, sprawling city, there lay a small, quaint cafe that was tucked away behind the bustling main streets, obscured from the hurried passers-by. Okay, now one thing we want to notice is that all of that stuff I just said, that's one sentence. Observation number one, possibly long sentences. This is what we call flowery. I call it flowery language. That means we're trying to really describe what's physically there visually. We're trying to see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, right? We have a lot of adjectives. We have vast, sprawling, small, quaint, bustling. All of these are adjectives meant to create an interesting image. Okay, so long sentences, and we have many adjectives. Many adjectives. Okay. Obscured from the hurried passers-by. Okay. So we have a long, complicated sentence. We have a lot of adjectives. And we could also say, I think, I don't know, big words. Some big words. Obscured. We have passers-by, which is less common. Sprawling. You know, these are all fairly big words. Big in terms of not something you would say if you're trying to, quickly get information across to someone. This little establishment, bathed in the warm golden hues of the late afternoon sun, offered a peaceful sanctuary. So for this, right, when we read that, the little establishment bathed in the warm golden hues, we're going above and beyond to add detail, right? We're putting in tons of detail. Tons of detail to really make it stand out. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but it is very flowery, right? Okay. Things being bathed in warm golden hues. Okay, wow. It was a place where the coffee, rich and aromatic, filled the air with its enticing scent, beckoning the weary city dwellers to take a brief respite from their daily endeavors, to pause and savor the moment. Okay? And this is where we might say we're often using, let's say, parentheticals or asides. I'll just write it because it's shorter to write asides. And by asides, what I really mean is a parenthetical, a thing that we add that doesn't have to be there for the sentence to make sense as a sentence. You see this a lot if you read Proust. Proust is unbelievably detailed, but a lot of it is these parentheticals, basically putting in a chunk of information or detail that if you took it out would leave the sentence intact. In other words, you could still read the sentence and still understand. So for example, if we say, it was a place where the coffee rich and aromatic, well, just cross out rich and aromatic there. It was a place where the coffee filled the air. Okay, it's between two commas. Filled the air with its enticing scent, beckoning the weary city dwellers to take a brief respite from their daily endeavors. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to see. Where, let's see, enticing scent, beckoning, let's see, where's another one? It was a place where the coffee, rich and aromatic, filled the air with its enticing scent, beckoning the weary city dwellers to take a brief respite from their daily endeavors, to pause and savor the moment. I suppose, because there are two of these, you could also take out one. You could take out bathed in the warm golden hues of the late afternoon sun. You could take out probably part of this, establishment bathed in the late afternoon sun. All of this is probably not necessary. Not all of it is. You could cut out a lot of it, right? So there's a lot of stuff that's in here that doesn't necessarily have to be there, that isn't necessary for the grammar of the sentence, right? And again, just read an example of or an excerpt from Proust, and you will see a lot of that. Now, what if we wanted to take this and simplify it? All right, well, let's do that. How would this look if it were a little shorter, more concise? Would it be worse? Would it be better? What would be different? Okay. In a quiet corner of a busy city, a small cafe offered a peaceful escape. Bathed in the late afternoon sun, it served rich, aromatic coffee that invited city dwellers to pause and enjoy a moment away from their daily routines. Now, ask yourself, is it the same basic meaning? Do you get the same picture? Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Well, what's the difference? Well, we don't have those parenthetical asides, that extra information that's stuck in there that could easily be removed and leave the sentence as it was. We have fewer adjectives, just a quiet corner of a busy city. Not a bunch of adjectives for both of those things. One adjective per noun, right? We then don't have to add all of that extra detail. The extra detail where we're going above and beyond to say more, as in the previous one. Can we say basically the same thing with fewer words? Yeah. Well, it's bathed in the afternoon sun. It's a small cafe that offers a peaceful escape. Escape from what? And the other one we said what it was that we're escaping from. Do we need to? We know what people escape from. They escape from stress. They escape from their daily routines. So do we have to say it? So I think for this version, we're asking ourselves, what stuff could I just take out while leaving the main description intact? And removing that stuff is what we get here. Removing the parentheticals, removing all the adjectives we don't need, removing that above and beyond descriptive stuff that we describe as flowery language. We're still getting some interesting adjectives, right? Rich aromatic coffee that invited city dwellers to pause and enjoy a moment away from their daily routines. We're still getting that main idea. Now, which one is better? Well, if you ask, I don't know, Hemingway or something, he would say, obviously this one is better, right? If you ask Proust, he might say the other one is better. So are you Hemingway or are you Proust? I think if you asked somebody like, there's a book that everybody reads, in America at least, called Strunk and White, The Elements of Style. The Elements of Style is definitely on the side of Hemingway. In fact, I think they use Hemingway in a lot of the examples. It's about how to write clearly and concisely. Now, a lot of that language is most useful for work communication, for emails, for proposals and things like that. So if you're writing proposals and emails, you probably want to be more like this, right? But that doesn't mean that the other way of doing it is bad or wrong. It's just different, and it's accomplishing something different. If you're trying to paint a very complicated picture and evoke all kinds of feelings and images and all of that, then maybe the other way is better, right? And again, let me just remind you of how much longer the other one that we looked at is, right? So this is the other one. In the midst of a vast, sprawling city, there lay a small, quaint cafe that was tucked away behind the bustling main streets, obscured from the hurried passers-by. Now, compare that to our other sentence, our other first sentence. In a quiet corner of a busy city, a small cafe offered a peaceful escape. Which one do I like better? I generally try to write in a more concise way. I generally don't favor that level of complexity especially when it's just extra detail and information. My main reason for that, even if I'm writing something that is creating an image like this is because I like to leave more to the reader's imagination. I personally feel like the first one is giving the reader too much and not leaving enough to their imagination. But if you choose the right words, they still get those images, but it's just suggested. They get to come up with it on their own, right? So I favor this style, but I want to be clear that that's not necessarily better. What I really want to do is just show you what it looks like, right? I want you to get an idea for how you can say the same thing in many different ways. We could have looked at it as a poem. We could have looked at it in so many different ways with different styles of writing. You need to be flexible. You need to learn how to do both. You need to read more so that you have a sense for both styles, right? And what you like and what kind of fits your way of expressing yourself for whatever it is, right? Now, I would recommend not writing an email like a Proust novel. Don't do that. That's probably a very bad idea. It would leave people feeling confused in most cases, especially for work. But it's still valuable to have a feeling for all of it and to be exposed to all of it and to read more and to write more and to find your preferred style of writing, right? So explore more. I strongly recommend using tools like ChatGPT to try different versions and look at different versions and practice and play around. Playing around with the language is a great way to practice what you learn. So try it out. Play around. Get on ChatGPT and just try a few versions of a paragraph. Take a paragraph from a book, from an article, and try to make your own version. Make it more concise, more clear. Make it more flowery, right? Try both and see how it goes. See what you learn from the process. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And also, get a free course in the links in the description. Okay. Flowery is different than fluffy. That's a good question, though, Hisham. Hisham says, is flowery a euphemism for fluffed? No. Fluff is different. Fluff is where you add nonsense that is meant to create space or add length to something that is written without really adding content. I think with flowery language, we are adding content. It is dripping with images and feelings and connotations and that's actually a valuable thing. It is adding content, right? Fluff doesn't add content. Fluff is words that are just there to take up space and is classically used by, high school students who are required to write a 1,000-word essay. And they wrote a 600-word essay, and they're starting to think, okay, well, I'm done saying what I want to say. How can I add more words, basically? And then that's fluff. That is what fluff is. Good question, though. That's a good question. All right, moving on. Moving right along. Can we go to paragraphs? I think paragraphs is good. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about, let's talk about paragraphs. So speaking of essays, right? Speaking of that, spend some time on paragraphs. What's that? A siren? I wonder what's going on. there's a busy road not far from me, and there are a lot of sirens and sometimes motorcycles. I hope it's not too distracting. I don't love it. I don't love it, to be honest. By the way, I guess I should talk about the courses that are coming up. As I mentioned at the start, I am coming out with 2 new courses very soon. One is about networking in business English. In other words, how do you handle introducing yourself, talking about what you do, invitations, scheduling, following up, having interesting discussions, sharing key information, pitching, all of that stuff. That course, I think, is going to be an interesting one, and I hope people like it. So if you're a working professional and you often need to socialize in English, but you don't feel very confident to do that, this course, I think, is going to be really good. I hope. It is. I mean, I worked very hard on it to make it as good as possible. It's all example-based, so it's really just going over a lot of examples for how to handle difficult situations, how to ask follow-up questions, how to introduce a product, how to pitch yourself, right? All of that stuff. I think it should be. I hope you check it out when it comes out. I will launch it initially on Udemy. And then the other one is about verb tenses. I did cover some of the more difficult verb tenses in a course, but I wanted to make a kind of mini course just about verb tenses. So that's it. It's 12 verb tenses, examples. Basically, you learn them, you practice them, and then you know them. And that course is going to be about an hour and 10 minutes long. It's a mini course. And it's the first mini course like this that I have done. So it's a new thing for me, but I'm pretty excited about it. It will not be free, but at the beginning, I'm planning to make it free. I'm going to launch it with a free coupon, something I haven't done before. So I'm going to launch it initially for a free coupon. So if you should make sure that you are subscribed and stuff to me so that you can catch that when it happens. So you can see when that goes out. Okay. All right, let's talk about paragraph structure. This one will be on Skillshare. All right. Let me. I don't want to commit. I think I'll try. I'll try, Hisham. I know you're the Skillshare guy, but write an email. I don't want to get into Skillshare. I don't know. I just don't know if Skillshare students know what happened. I don't know if they know what happened. I don't know if you guys can feel it over there on Skillshare about what happened in October of 2022. Did you notice anything? Do you feel like anything happened? But that, as I said, that course will be, I probably will launch it first on Udemy first, I think. So, yeah, make sure you're following me there. I mean, you can also get the free course, Natural English Conversations, on Udemy if you want. And then I think if you're on Udemy, and some of my courses are only there. Like right now, the 2 ChatGPT courses, there's only one place to take them, and that's on Udemy. So if you've taken any of the courses there, then whenever I release a new course, you get an update. Basically, I will launch it. What I usually do is I usually launch a course there at the lowest price that I can. But once you have the course, you own it, right? It's yours. but I'll basically they have limits for how low you can go. When I launch it at the lowest price, generally never free, right? But for this one, this is a mini course. I feel it's different, it's shorter, and so I'm planning to launch it with the free coupon. So, yeah. Yeah, so I mean it's just yeah. I can say probably like the prepositions course, for example, I doubt that one will ever be on Skillshare just because I don't want to go through the process of uploading a 30-hour course. That sucked. That was not fun. I did not enjoy doing that. Try uploading a 30-hour course. It's very time-consuming. You only want to do it once. Yeah, it used to be different. I used to put stuff up on Skillshare first, but times have changed. Okay. All right, where were we? Paragraph structure, right. Hisham, for distracting me. No, it's fine. It's fine. All right. One of the things that every native English speaker learns in middle school, sometimes high school, is how to structure paragraphs, how to structure essays, and how to structure paragraphs. This is less about how you write and more about how you organize. One of the things that can make writing bad is that it's disorganized. It's confusing. Thoughts don't flow naturally from one to the next. I cannot speak to what people learn in high school as non-native English speakers because I didn't experience that, so I can't say anything about it. But I want to share what I learned about paragraphs in school because I think it's good, actually. It's good. That doesn't mean every single paragraph needs to follow this. Of course, you can have a paragraph that's one word. You can. But like if you had a paragraph that were the word go, that would be a sentence and a paragraph. It could be. And you would need to know why you're doing that, but you could. You absolutely could. Go could be very impactful in the right situation. Generally speaking, a paragraph is a very important building block for something larger. An email, an essay, an article, a proposal. And so knowing how to structure that building block can make it a lot easier to structure something larger, like an email, like a proposal, right? So let's look at it. Let's spend a little bit of time on this paragraph structure. And I want to be clear, I'm not really making stuff up here. This is not my idea. This is what I learned in school. Okay, that's all I'm sharing with you. Nothing original, nothing crazy. This is what basically I learned in school. Yes, I was homeschooled, but it was still school. No, I went to, just for context, I was homeschooled and then I went to a public high school. And it was a really unique experience. I'm kind of glad I did both because I have both sides. I can compare them. Perhaps that's another topic. Okay, well, anyway, let's get into paragraph structure. So we start generally with some kind of topic sentence. It's often called a topic sentence. This is where you say what you're trying to say. If you were going to, here's another way to think of it. If you were going to tell someone what you think without explaining it, would be it, the topic sentence, right? You have 5 seconds to say what you think and then you have to leave. Say it, and then leave. That's your topic sentence. So it's the main idea. Now, again, not every paragraph must have a topic sentence. I want to be clear on that point. But we learn this, and it is helpful to know for when you do need something like this, right? which is often, believe it or not, in a lot of situations. This is generally something that's clear, concise, and straightforward, especially if you're trying to communicate information. Now, if you're writing a novel or something and you're trying to describe the texture of vines on a castle or something, then it's going to be a little different, right? You might still give important information at the beginning and say what you're talking about, and then give detail. So the basic structure probably holds, although it might not be as simple as a topic sentence, right? This is a big simplification of this idea, right? It's a big simplification of the English language and paragraphs in general. So, my statement, streaming services have revolutionized the way we consume TV shows and movies. That's my opinion. I'm stating that. That is what I believe is true. That is what I can say in 5 seconds. Before I have to go, I'm not explaining why. Okay? So, and that's everything, though. That's the whole opinion. Now what I have to do is justify it, explain it. So once you've said what you think, then you start to explain why. You give details. You give examples. You give support. Right? So that's a simple structure thing. It would be a mistake to start with a bunch of supporting examples and explanations before you have stated what you think. Then people start thinking, what are you talking about? I don't get what you're saying. You're explaining something about streaming services. What is this about? First, say what it's about, then say why you feel that way, or give some support, some details, key information. So that's what we do next. We develop through supporting sentences. These are called supporting sentences. So you have the topic sentence and supporting sentences rather. And it's important to note that it's sentences, because a paragraph is not a specific length. A paragraph can be one sentence, sometimes, usually not, but can be. It can be 10. Right? It's not about how long it is. It's about once you achieve that, right? Once you achieve what you're trying to do, which is to explain your topic sentence. This is what I think, and this is why. And once I've said why and explained it and given support, then I will stop and start a new paragraph. Generally, that's how it works. You have within a paragraph one important idea that you're trying to communicate, and then the explanations or reasons or support for that idea. You're doing that on a larger scale with an essay. In school, we learn to then write essays. So within the paragraph, you have that structure, but also for the whole essay, you have a similar structure. The introduction states what you think is true, and then you spend several paragraphs making statements about that bigger thing and explaining it, right? Maybe we'll get into that in another lesson. But for now, paragraphs. So it's the thing that maybe will inspire someone. It's the thing that provides an example. It's the thing that makes someone go, yeah, I get it, right? It's the thing that people need to be persuaded by an argument. It's the thing that makes people think this person is crazy, right? Because your rationale is totally different than theirs. It's the, as this says, meat of the paragraph. And if you're doing, practical writing or proposals or things like that, these are facts, statements, quotes perhaps, and commentary based on how you feel about it, based on your opinion, that all point at the topic sentence. Now, with platforms like Netflix and Hulu, remember my opinion was, let me go back to my opinion, streaming services have revolutionized the way we consume TV shows and movies. Now, with platforms like Netflix and Hulu, viewers can watch whatever they want, whenever they want. Okay, gone are the days of waiting a whole week for the next episode. Binge watching has become the new norm. This shift has major implications for how shows are produced and marketed. So you can see very clearly that I'm saying that these streaming platforms have changed changed the way people watch stuff. And the change in the way that people watch stuff has changed the way things are made. Because I know fans will want to watch 10 episodes in a row, I'm going to produce my show in that way, knowing that, right? Or at least it will change the way I think about how I produce the show or movie. So this is all supporting that initial statement. Then we want to generally give, I don't want to say a conclusion, but it could be a conclusion, or it could be a statement or sentence that integrates the next concept or hints at what's coming next. So think of it as a transition, right? I move from this idea to the next idea, the next paragraph, and the last sentence helps me do it. So I want to be clear, I'm not saying that every paragraph should end with a conclusion, and so blah, blah, blah. It can. Sometimes that's the right thing to do. But sometimes it's just meant to make it so that each paragraph naturally goes into the next paragraph and the next paragraph and the next paragraph. I remember being in school at some point, I don't remember which class, but thinking, wow, that's tough, that's difficult, how can I do that? And I think the answer to that is there are many ways to do it, right? What you want to create in the reader is a feeling of not having to start over for every paragraph, that you get a continuous flow of ideas, while at the same time each paragraph has its unique statement, its unique purpose or function or thing that you're trying to say, right? So again, what you want to avoid is repeating the topic's sentence. Probably not a great idea, repeating it directly. You may decide to rephrase it. That could be a good idea, but don't just repeat it, right? So somehow you're kind of tying it up, but also you're preparing to move on. This also helps to maintain the flow, right? And prepares your reader for the next thing. This binge watch culture not only keeps audiences glued to their screens, but also pressures creators to craft more compelling, binge-worthy content. So am I concluding there? No, I'm kind of wrapping up that thought. And if you want to think of it that way, you can think of it that way too. To wrap up the thought is to say, now it's time to move on to the next, right? But maybe this could lead on to that pressure. Maybe now I have the next paragraph about the pressure on creators to create binge-worthy content. So first I just introduced the concept of binge-worthy content, and I'm supporting the idea that this is happening and the way that we watch movies and TV shows is changing because of streaming. In the next paragraph, I then say, okay, now, as a result of the way that people have changed, or that we have changed the way we watch stuff because of streaming or however that works, there's a lot of pressure on creators. Now, is this pressure on creators a good thing? Does it limit the creative process? Does it limit the type of stories we tell? I might spend the next paragraph on that. And if I did that, because I kind of introduced the concept in this last sentence, it would flow naturally. It doesn't have to be that, but it could be that. That might be a good way to both wrap up the paragraph, talking about binge culture, and then flow into the next. Now, I know this is, challenging, but the best thing to do is practice. And I think, again, this is what I had to do in school. Practice, practice, practice. So I think it's a great exercise to write essays. I really do. I would encourage you to choose a topic once in a while and write a short essay. And it really will push you to think about structure. It's not just about the words you choose. It's not just about the grammar of the sentences. It's also about the organization of the whole thing, right? And when you're writing a paragraph, think about these things. I'm starting with my main concept, then I'm supporting, then I'm wrapping it up and providing a transition to the next thing. How do I do that for each paragraph? And thinking through all of these, thinking through these sort of steps when you're building a paragraph will improve you as a writer. It will force you to deal with, let's say, issues that you never even noticed before. Oh, actually, I was just kind of saying whatever I wanted before. And that could be confusing for readers. This exercise of writing essays is a great way to practice and improve, and I would encourage you to do it. Then you could use a tool like ChatGPT after you're done and say, hey, critique this for me. Let me know what I could improve, especially in terms of structure. Then you get feedback, you iterate, you try again, and I think it's actually a fun process. If you want to make it more real, maybe you start a blog. That's not crazy, right? Start a blog. Why not? It could be a good way to kind of force yourself to practice and improve your writing. If you have any questions about this, though, let me know. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and also get a free course in the links in the description. Please recommend some of the best columns to follow for standard eloquent English. I mean, most every journalist at a major publication is going to be a good enough writer to have been hired by that publication. Generally, you don't get bad writers at the New York Times or you know, whatever you like to read that's a major publication. So it's not like, oh, you know, people at this publication, they don't know how to write anything. You're going to get what you need. I think the important thing is to think about interest. So what are you interested in? I like, for example, I like to read articles from Atlas Obscura because I like weird stuff. So I like interesting articles from Atlas Obscura. Let's see. There's stories here. Yeah, let me go. Let me show what I'm showing here. Let me show what I'm showing. That doesn't make sense. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Dig a tunnel through the center of the earth to where? 7 unbelievable environmental stories from every continent. The world's most remote triathlon involves bird eggs, a volcano, and bananas. That's kind of, you know, quirky topics, weird topics about unusual stuff. Just to be clear, that's not nudity. Those people have underwear on. I want to be clear about that. And yeah, it's good. But find a publication that works for you. Find a publication you like, you know? Recommend. Follow your interests. I think that's the best takeaway there. Follow your interests. Okay, I'm looking at the picture. Looks like the people are running with bananas. For a second there, I was a little worried because I thought, uh-oh, nudity? Uh-oh. It's not, though. It's really not. They're just not wearing that much. David Sedaris? Sure. I don't know Oliver Berkman. I don't know who that is. New York Times, if you like to read that. Yep. Reese, I'll say I'm not recommending it only because I'm basing things off my interest. I like kind of weird, quirky topics, so I like to read Atlas Obscura. I'm kind of checked out on the news. I stopped reading the news. I don't know what's going on in the world. Some people tell me what's happening, and I'm very happy with that. Not knowing what's going on. So I haven't read the New York Times in a while. And I'm also not a subscriber. But whatever you like. One thing just to be cautious of is you have then these independent ones like Substack or Medium. And there, it's different than New York Times. New York Times, if you have a contributor for the New York Times, those go through an editing process. You know, these are professional writers. These are people who know how to write well. But everyone can start a Substack. Anybody can do that. And so you just post some terrible writing and people read it. So the quality is probably hit or miss. You know, you can post garbage there if you want to. You could just copy and paste ChatGPT articles all day on Substack if you want to. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't pay for any writing subscriptions. I think I used to pay for Medium for a little while, but then too many articles were just crap, and so I stopped. Other than Atlas Obscura, what would I personally recommend? I guess when I did read news, I liked Business Insider is okay. I liked Associated Press is not bad. I don't know. I don't have strong opinions about it. I like to read nonfiction books, not news. Read nonfiction. Right now, I am reading a book by Alfred North Whitehead. That's interesting. And I'm listening to, because I also like audiobooks, I'm listening to some pretty interesting books. I'm listening to The Gay Science by Friedrich Nietzsche, which is one Nietzsche book that I had never read before. I'm listening to that one. And I'm also pretty soon going to be starting rereading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've read it before, but I'm planning to reread it because it has been quite a while, by Stephen Covey. But I like audiobooks too. All right. I've come through these by asking ChatGPT. Yeah, that's great. Well, now as we've looked at, I think we can say ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Meta, AI, these are all pretty solid. Pretty solid. All right. You know what? I think we might call it a day. Friends, neighbors, it's been great to have you here. I think I'll probably just continue back here in the studio because I like the environment better. It's more focused. So probably we'll do that. But if I missed any questions, follow up with me or join next time. Next Sunday, we will be back. Again, look out for those 2 new courses coming out soon. Have a safe and relaxing, whatever it is for you. Have a safe and relaxing rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.